just a note, usually we would have the reading we had yesterday with the woman caught in adultery, but because we had it yesterday, they had this gospel instead. But that reading, of course, parallels very well the story of Susanna going along with that. But what we have here today is a continuation of the Gospel of John from where we were last week, where we heard about the Feast of Tabernacles. Now, during the Feast of Tabernacles, they would live out in these tents instead of in their houses, as a reminder of being out in the desert for 40 years and how God continued to provide for them. And every day, I think there was a priest that would go down to the pool of Siloam, take some water, and in procession bring it into the temple and pour some water next to the altar as a libation. And that was a symbol of God bringing water from the rock. And of course, Jesus takes that and talks about the water flowing forth from his side, being the Spirit. And then the other thing that they would do is they had in the court of the women, they would light these candles. So there would be a fire ceremony, and of course that is a reminder of how Almighty God preceded the people of Israel with the cloud during the day and the column of fire at night. And so this symbol of the fire of Almighty God. And so Jesus is now in the treasury area of the temple, which is right next to the court of the women. And so now he's bringing that symbol of light from everything that they're seeing going on, saying, before you saw that it was this pillar of fire that led you through the desert, taking care of you. It says, now I am the light of the world. And he's actually even making a reference back to the prophet Isaiah. Big surprise, like Isaiah is almost one of the Gospels. They talk about it as the fifth Gospel so often because it speaks so much about Jesus. But in Isaiah 42, Isaiah 49, in two of the servants' songs, it talks about how Israel is to be a light to the nations. And here Jesus is saying, I am the light to the nations. And he's showing them what type of a Messiah he's going to be. He's going to be the suffering servant. And as we move almost into Holy Week next week, now we're hearing how he's preparing the people around him and himself for that, for the coming of his passion, where he's going to suffer. So Jesus is the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. We think about these two elders in the first reading, how they walked in darkness. They didn't just sin. We all sin. But they loved their sin. They stuck to their sin. They clung to their sin. And because of that, they were in darkness. And Jesus is inviting us to get away from our sin, to let go of our sin and to walk in his light. But I don't know about you, but I know I don't like bringing my sins out to the light. Even when I don't like my sins, I don't like them being in the light. And the Lord is saying, let me shine my light on them so that I can bring new life, so that I can bring healing, so that I can take you out of the darkness where you are stumbling and blind and bring you into the light. May we allow Jesus to draw us into his light, letting go of our sinfulness, letting go of our brokenness, letting go of all that and saying, here, Jesus, shine your light into my darkness.